Hey everybody, this is Perch. I think asking questions is a good thing. I also think that if people ask questions, by and large, as much as possible, we should try and assume that the person asking the question is asking them because they really want to know the answer, not because they're trying to do some kind of weird passive-aggressive Jedi mind trick kind of argument attack. I think if people are asking questions, and it's usually pretty clear if the person's just trolling or being passive-aggressive about it, or asking legitimately, then if they're asking legitimately, we should try and have an open dialogue about it. So I am not Starfire. I did the one video about it, but this is not a video about I am not Starfire. But in looking at the comments, you see the same kind of predictable things going on. You see a number of people who are like, oh, Perch is just trying to, be glass half full with the industry because he's saying that he hopes, the comic sells somewhere, and that those people are morons. Sorry. I mean, let's be unvarnished here a little bit. Look, yes, is it true? I want comic book industry to make money? Yes. If you have been blackpilled to the point that you actually just want it to fail, I mean, good for you. I don't know what you're doing on a comic book channel, but that's on you, and that's fine. That's where you're at. Cool. But, when the conversation is, hey, how do we figure out what sells, how to make more things sell? If your perspective is let it all die, then you're not adding anything to the conversation, and piss off. Sorry. Again, you want to be direct with me, I'll be direct with you. And then there's the other group, though, that's almost more infuriating. That is the, hey, if it's not for you, so why are you even complaining about it? Why do you make videos about it? I mean, look, if you why are you commenting on a video that you don't think should be made? Why are you wasting your time talking? We can play this game all day long. At the end of the day, the question for this comic, and why I think I Am Not Starfire is an interesting one, but we can look at almost anything else going forward. The meat of the conversation is, who's this comic book trying to reach? Which was the point of the previous video I did. Who is the comic book audience that they're trying to obtain? And when you ask the question that way, it can be very unemotional. If you're answering this question of, well, they're trying to appeal to, virtue signal people or bigots or whatever term you want to use, then you're not answering the question honestly. You're just kind of fucking around. The honest question is, who is this comic going to appeal for? And frankly, bluntly, every single comic publisher, every single comic maker, indie, crowdfunding, anything, big company, small company, that should be a question that they're asking themselves for any project they do. And it should be a question that they're not afraid of answering. Who is this comic for? And the comic, again, it's not emotional. Who is this comic for? The answer to that question is going to dictate where you market it, where you publish it, how you publish it, how you distribute it, all of those things. Now I should turn off my notifications. I hate those little beeps. Anyway, for example, look at Primer. Primer, book that DC produced, clearly aimed at kids, not just young adults, but kids. Sold really well. Where did it sell really well? Amazon. It sold well in a kids category. I don't know how well the comic sold in comic stores, but at least from what I can tell, not great in the direct market. But it was not made for the direct market. Its audience, its target audience, the audience it was made for, does not hang out in comic shops. It hangs out in schools. Its parents buy comics for that audience. So it was marketed and distributed perfectly. And guess what? It made money. Now you take a look at Nubia. We talked about this in the previous video. Who is it made for? And again, I know the temptation people always have is they want to say, oh, it's made for SJWs. It was made for blah, 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 whatever. Again, that's not a productive answer. Honestly, who is it made for? It was made for somebody. Who is it made for? Well, we weren't in those meetings with DC, so we can only go with what they're telling us. Okay, and what they're telling us are it was made for a YA. Okay. YA is typically sold in some bookstores, some mass marketplaces like Target, Walmart, sold at schools, sometimes sold to libraries. All right, if that's the target market, did it hit that market? Well, the answer is no. The sales numbers, we now have them. This is not a matter of opinion. This is not well, if it's not for you, why are you worried about it? We now have facts and we have data, and it didn't sell through. So the fact that it didn't sell through means it missed its target audience. It didn't hit it. It was aiming for someone, and it missed. So why did it miss? All right, we can speculate on that. Maybe the art was not what that market wanted. I suspect that's a little bit of it. If we look at that market, YA, and we look at things that sell really, really well in that market, the art style tends to be pretty standard, and Nubia was not that standard. There was, which I mentioned, there's people dropping F-bombs, and there's a school shooting in that book, and that's going to be a problem if part of your target market's in a school or in libraries. That is going to be a barrier. There are many, many national libraries that cannot purchase any book that references or shows school violence. That's a rule. It's an actual, that's not a thought, it's an actual rule. So therefore, the distribution and the planning process of this book was bad. It had a target audience in mind. Now, we don't know if that target audience is a good one. I can say, I'm making a new comic book. Okay, I'm making one, and my target audience is residents of Greenland. Okay, it's going to really appeal to residents of Greenland between the ages of 40 and 50. The problem is that those are real people. There is an audience there that lives in Greenland that's between 40 and 50. However, the amount of money that audience can bring is not enough to sustain a comic. In order to make my money back, let alone profit, I have to pretty much sell to everyone. I have to sell to that entire population in order to get funding back. So therefore, making a comic for people in Greenland aged 40 to 50 is a dumb idea. I'm going to lose money. Now, maybe I have a passion project that this is always what I've wanted to do because I love Greenland and I love people between 40 and 50. And so I'm willing to lose money because that's what I really want to do. And that's on me. That's fine. But that's how you think about target audiences. Who are they aiming for? Who are they trying to go for? And then are they successful in getting to it or not? Now, clearly, the YA audience, the kid audience, has money. We know from largely, manga is doing really, really well with YA. I know a number of older comic fans are really excited by manga, and that's super, but one of the biggest parts of that demographic for manga sales right now is the classic YA market. We know they're buying stuff. We can see that they're buying stuff. We already have a little bit of data that shows that they're able to enjoy something that looks like a comic book, something with sequential art. So we know that audience is there. So now the question becomes, how do we reach it? And that, when you break it down this way, it gets to be a much healthier, much better way to have the conversation, much better way to have the plan. It becomes less emotional. Okay? So if we know Demon Slayer is working to that audience, and we know Nubia is not, then therefore, if you're putting out a new book and you want to reach that audience, you should make it more like Demon Slayer and less like Nubia, right? I don't think that's a controversial statement. I'm baffled by people who want to argue that. I have to believe the people who want to argue that are, again, either being disingenuous or are morons. One of those two. Has to be one of those two. Because this is not rocket science. It's basic business. You want to appeal to that audience, you need to find something that audience will consume. Now I am not obviously in a YA audience. Okay, so you might say, and some people in the comments have, it's none of your business anyway. Yeah, except bullshit, it is. It is some of my business anyway, because it turns out I sell these books. And it turns out I want, despite the black-pilled people, I want the comic industry to survive. I want it to grow. I want the people in it to make more money. I want them to be able to make more money because they are producing more money, because the entire industry is healthy. That's what I desire. That's not what you want. We can part ways. Please. Fuck off. Sorry. No, actually, you know what? I'm actually not sorry. But literally, that's my goal here. So, if as somebody who has a vested interest in this business, I have a vested interest in these companies and these producers making content that reaches their target market, that reaches their intended audience. So now we have I Am Not Starfire coming up. It's aimed at YA. Again, Maybe that's not what it's actually aimed at, but that's what DC claims it is aimed at. That's what their marketing says it's aimed at. That's what their videos say it's aimed at. That's what everything they're doing claims that it's aimed at. If it's aimed at some other audience, then I mean, we can try and find that audience. We can say, oh, they're going for this over here. But again, whatever audience they're going for, are they going to be successful at making money with it? I will tell you, one of the pages that they showed in the preview had the girl saying fuck. And that is going to be a problem if you're selling into libraries. It is. Not a terrible problem, not like having a school shooting in your book, but it is a problem. If you say that in the book, it's going to be challenging for some libraries to take it, which is going to cut down on some of your target market. So again, this needs to not be emotional. It's a simple question. Is the thing you're producing, does it know its target audience? Is it doing the right things to reach its target audience? And does that target audience have enough money to sustain it? These are almost all yes or no questions. And if we get to that, then we can start to solve some of this other stuff. Anyway, that's where I'm coming from. I see tons and tons of people. I mean, good God, I see these comments about what Perch doesn't understand is it the woke mafia, and this is what I do. I don't care. I don't care. Sorry. You went to this. You went to another. You're talking about some other channel. Here's this. There's no way I want this garbage to succeed. It's complete and total trash. Cool. Again, that's kind of not the point, but cool. You don't have to like this. You don't have to want it to succeed. That's actually not the question. You or me wanting a particular title succeed is somewhat irrelevant. The question is does it have a hope of succeeding? Does it have a hope of reaching that target audience? That's the question. That is it. Anyway, at least we got this one. Did they ever say who the father was? No, but I'm sure that'll be revealed in the book, and I'm sure. Again, I'm not the target audience, so you know what? I don't care. But hopefully, the reveal of who the father was is something that is interesting to the target audience. That would be great. Because again, if you want it to sell and you want it to do well, then by all means, get in there. So, anyway, there you have it. I'll probably delete this. Thanks for listening.